Incoming.
I was talking and I didn't even hear you leave. So I kept talking. And then I look over at Mumble. I'm like, oh, you're not in here anymore. I'm talking to myself. Oh, well.
Nice work.
Hi, Nisovin.
Hi.
This is so confusing.
No.
Which one's the real Teb? Oh, wait. Hi, Teb. That's how I know.
Okay, there we go. Right. I'm not being totally
Chris
silly
is joined
anymore,
by
apparently.
Teb. Chris is joined today by Teb and Teb in a dress.
Oh, good evening, lads.
Hello,
All right.
Scottish Teb. Scottish.
I'm going to leave all of that in. All right. So here we are.
Okay.
Here we are in
Hi.
the map Rhumarr Pass, which has been 4 months in the making.
4 long, dreary, dark, wintry months.
That's been actually, yes, this whole winter we've basically, this has been building. Mm-hmm.
Ned Stark wasn't kidding.
Well, it came, and now it's on its way. It's leaving us finally.
Yeah,
Except for the dwarves on this map here. So this room here is kind of where I envision the dwarves starting, and it's between the last 2 shrines, so it's well within safe protection of all that kind of nonsense. And I made this particularly so people can like have this giant nice board here. Be like, oh, where is stuff on this map? So you can be like, oh, that's the forward defense. There's gravel there. You know, there's tools there. You can mine stuff there. That whole kind of thing. Because a map this big, people always come and like, where the heck is everything? So
Yeah.
that was my thought behind this.
It's been a while since I've been in this room. I see you've got double smooth slab thingies.
It is one of the nicest looking blocks in the game, which isn't in vanilla.
Yeah, most of the tools throughout the map are on something like that in some way or another.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the starting supplies you can get here, but you can run out and get them elsewhere on the map too, if you're that kind of dwarf.
Kind of like Nautilus, with their tool stations liberally scattered over this map.
So you step out, and this is the 8th shrine, which is the second to last, which is this nicely, brightly lit area. But, oh,
Oh no.
Alder left us.
He's clearly been overwhelmed by the majesty of the map. We shall continue.
All right. Well, if we come back this way into this nice cave over here, this will lead us to final. So we're going to go through this map backwards basically from the dwarf side, and we're going to count down to the first in that direction.
Alder, we sensed the map was too much for your computer to handle.
No, my internet decided to do that thing where it just dies. It doesn't want to be connected to internet anymore.
Oh, well, we're doing it live.
All right, so when you come out into the cave thing there, if you look down here, there's a nice broken down little thing that the mobs can use as an alternate path.
I've got to say, one of the things I look forward to seeing at this point is any poor dwarf that gets knocked down there on the retreat from 8 to 5.
Oh, yeah.
This is
a very nasty...
Dwarves are going to need to actually build something here, or they're going to get knocked into that. I mean, it's escapable.
Yeah, but it's
a little bit trickier than it looks.
You can... It's a bit of a roundabout way, but you can go around.
Getting lost.
Yeah.
La la la. No, I'm fine. I'm not lost at all.
Yes. I mean, as you can see, the main pathway between the shrines has got this grey clay and is lit, and the lighting is underneath glass, which is breakable. But there are no infiltrators anymore, so this should hopefully remain intact unless a couple of ghost blades get to work.
And all of this, like, other stuff winding around the outside, they're kind of semi-parallel paths to this. They just kind of wind around, kind of like doing a double helix around it, kind of sort of thing. But you can fall off to some unpleasantness down below.
Yes,
and dwarves and skeletons and all of that other stuff. This map was started back when we had info skellies with vines and stuff, so we had to make a few changes, but the thought is still the same. People can get up there and just be a nightmare for the dwarves on final, which I imagine being a lot of fun. Falling off and dying.
I wouldn't want to try and make my way up these ice pillars while under attack. Parkour's difficult enough on ice as it is. But I really love this shrine. It kind of reminds me of. Now I'm gonna get the name of the map wrong. It might have been Erebor with its final, except without the lava and the diamonds. Kind of spiritually similar in some ways. That's a very old map though.
That is a very old map. I don't think I've ever actually played Erebor.
No,
I mean, it existed at the time that I was playing for a while. But the laptop that I was playing on at the time could not take it for some reason.
Yeah. Erebor was a pretty cool looking map though. But the final shrine, it just kind of gently reminds me of it. And it's not even remotely identical to it.
No,
Erebor's final was a lot bigger and nastier.
Somewhere in here, because it's a cave, there's somewhere you can get gravel supplies in there. You can find it on your own, but somewhere in there's some reserve gravel you can get. Just like over here, there's a bit of a cave in. You can dig out some reserve gravel there if you need it. Though this is not, these are not the main things, so we'd intend people to use the main quarry that we'll get to later in the map. These are to be exhausted later, but Jimmy will do it Jimmy wants.
If you wanted to be nice to anyone holding a tomb maker, you'd leave some gravel near the end. Because otherwise they're going to have trouble.
That would be wonderful, actually.
I made this banister, which I'm extremely proud of.
Yes.
I did pretty much nothing towards the end of the map. Made this banister.
Well, you helped a lot with the town, which we're going to come up to shortly. But
I mean, the inside of the map is.
I like this. It's
like
nice
the inside of this bit of the final is all crisp, and that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Is that I had nothing to do with it.
Well, we'll get through all of our derpy builds in the town. But yeah, this here is kind of this big, royal, majestic, ancient, traditional style keep.
Kind of traditional style DvZ keep,
Yeah, with the shrines up top, and if you come down below here, you got some oil fountains and nice stuff there, and you go further in, you have this contraption, some gnome contraption for chopping up wood, and stuff like that. Some chests. There are chests pretty much everywhere. I don't see you. Oh gosh, that's creepy. Yep, that little alternate thing we mentioned is right here. So mobs can use this as a back way both into 8th Shrine directly above us, as well as a back way in to get to the final as well. So there's a lot of dual purposing throughout this. If
you were a skilled mason with a bit of time, you could make this look identical to any other wall. So bit of backroom building there for the dwarves if they really feel like doing that. I wouldn't. There's too much cool stuff to explore.
Some high areas over to the sides there where people can do stuff, mobs can do stuff, dwarves can do stuff up there, be a pain in everyone's side and stuff.
I do like the one thing that you will notice as map goes on is that this keep is it's very brightly lit, very warm. You know, it looks like a place which is obviously like, cause you've got the ice clumps in the entrance. Which what we're trying to say here is it's cold.
Yeah, this is the best lit place in the entire map. Nothing else is lit like this area.
It's not just cold. It's not even Scottish cold. It's Antarctic in this. Like we are. Like this is the dwarven settlement in the North Pole.
Why did the dwarves move here, basically?
Yeah. And out here is kind of a war staging area outside the giant keep. We got some ballistas.
This is 98 Shrine 7, isn't it?
This is Shrine 7. So this is kind of a big courtyard area. You got your big fire pit for everyone to huddle for heat and light. A tower.
And it's kind of under construction, really.
Yep. If you come over here, you can see that this whole town, all of this stuff is right up against a sea. So, if for some reason you get your fight this close and you fall off the cliff, that's your own fault. But
I mean, it's possible. It would be possible to be blown into the sea by a gobo.
Or ogres who punch you over.
Or very committed ogre, but really, we don't anticipate too many people going into the sea without them. Yeah, I mean, if you're in the sea, it's probably because you wanted to be in the sea in the first place, and you built a boat. Don't build boats.
It's a frozen lake. You won't get very far.
I mean, I build a lot of boats into maps. I mean, we built Trojan Keep and we built Belly of the Beast. This map is boat free. You have no idea how much.
BYOB, bring your own boat.
No, don't
bring your own boat. Boats are not allowed.
Please, this is...
Why is there no snow on this bridge?
Because it's traveled. It's well traveled and well
use this
kept.
bridge a lot. Yeah.
And the fire melts it. Yeah, this we got 2 bridges here that cross the river. Honestly, they're kind of pointless because any smart mob would just, jump over the lake or the river.
Jump.
Yeah, that's a lake. This is a river. They'd probably just jump over that.
Yeah, I mean, as a dwarf, you could, if you were particularly bored, punch out all the ice and turn it into a real river, but that'd be boring. Why would you do
That's
that?
a lot of...
So
I suppose you could place a bunch of torches. That might do.
So here we are in the
Welcome to the
town.
town.
We're not gonna go into all of these buildings because, dear God, that would just be insane.
I mean, I think basically the way this map worked was there was half a month of getting the terrain really solid and sort of working out what we're going to do for each shrine, and then there was this 2.5 month build for all of these buildings. They're all built by hand.
Yeah.
We have borrowed no schematics have been borrowed from anywhere else. All of these buildings are unique and built by us with love and care, and by the end a fair amount of self-loathing, if we're honest.
Yeah. But to help with going by, we have nice paths in the road to make it like, hey, progress this way.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Just to
We've
lend a
tried to-
hand.
We've definitely tried to keep all the buildings here unique, and each one kind of has its own story to tell. Or, I mean, you've also got.
Because we're looking at this. This
You also got
building.
houses like this one, which just. This is essentially what also happened at some points was Chris and I would be building, and when it came to one of these big houses, we both end up building at the same time, and occasionally something like this would emerge. Where you get this really no building in the world looks like this. Probably for good reason. If we're completely
for
honest.
good reason.
Say that. Yes.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember building this. It was like I was like, let's make it an L shape, and then we kept going. I was like, oh, let's make it split level. Let's make the rooms different elevations inside it.
Let's have a balcony overlooking the shrine.
Yeah, let's have a balcony overlooking the shrine. Let's put a balcony in the back, and let's do all of this crazy stuff with the roof. And then you just you committed suicide by lava bucket. You were so fed up with me.
It was a dark moment. I mean, not when I had the lava bucket on my head. That was pretty bright, but it was a dark moment.
Mm-hmm. But this is the 6th shrine here, and this shrine is kind of the center of town, sort of, and it's the most important because you look over here and look at this. That is a giant wall. And
we'll throw over a Teb for scale.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That is a giant wall. And this is kind of the centerpiece of the map, so to speak. This is up in the north. The dwarves are fending off the evil, coming with the frozen cold, and this wall is stuck in the middle of the only valley in this mountain range that the monsters can pass through. And if we just go up this side, or the other side, there.
Oh, hey, this is stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
This is the most Game of Thrones-esque wall that we've ever built. I mean, there's probably a much better way to do this than the way I did it, but well, it is big.
Mm-hmm.
It is
30?
It is 30 blocks thick.
Just 30 blocks thick.
And I believe it is pretty much solid stone brick. Do we bedrock the inside of it at all?
There are a couple bedrock and obsidian columns, but otherwise it is all brick inside. Like, see that?
So if
brick.
you were an extraordinarily bored gobo, you could in theory blow your way through this, but for reasons we'll explain later that you would not do that. It's pointless.
Which what I'm saying about like the big center piece of all of this, that shrine is set to cut through the middle of this wall to prevent mobs from going through it and directing them to go up and around throughout the rest of the map regularly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this wall is as good a way of saying, please, the message of this wall is clear. Please don't try and blow through the wall. It's not the right shrine.
You're more than welcome to try, but you're going to get zapped by the shrine trying to do it.
I also want to see the team. I also want to see the amount of scaffolding required to glue that thing.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I mean, the town is one of the things I love about the town, because we had to build all the buildings individually over the course of 2.5 months. Is all of the buildings sort of have their own character and purpose. So I mean, you've got this building, which is the town barracks. I particularly like the roof. I love the roof on this building, but it's just.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's the roof's got the coat of arms, and then you've got lots of buildings, lots of building around. You've got a cafe here. You have like little homesteads full of fire. You have there's a building over here which I love because of its quad door system. Well, this isn't even the main path, but it's all the buildings end up having their own little uniqueness to them, and you know, while you could spend, I mean, I'd really recommend that if you want to go download the map and explore it to your heart's content, because if you did it during the game, you'd spend most of build phase wandering around here.
There are a few street signs as well throughout the place, like directing you, like, oh, this is where this is and stuff like that. It's like this sign right here I passed a bit ago. It's like, there's a market over there, there's that other keep, there's a barracks in the wall. And here's like, hey, there's oil inside this building with a nice little purple sign.
I mean, but the important bit really is that this central grey clay path is, if you follow the grey path in this map, it will usually lead you to the... Club. It will usually follow you...
Follow the Christian Clay player.
That doesn't even work.
Nope.
Yeah, you have to say it way too quickly to make it fit.
Follow the I can't even say it. But yeah, over there was 6th, and this brings us here to the 5th shrine in the map, which is another
when the Wizard
one in
of
the
Oz
town.
and the Wicked Witch are finished, let's talk about the 5th shrine.
One of the things, as you see with these 2 shrines here, was if you remember Nautilus, we had a little bit of a town, city, village thingy in that, but none of the fighting really ever took place in it. It took place at the palisade outside it, or it took place on the bridge. And with this map, I was like, I want to make it a fight actually happen in a town. It's like, so how do I do that? Well, let's actually stick multiple shrines in the town just to make sure fighting will happen in it. Yeah. So.
I mean, I'm interested to see what people will do with it, because the streets is just slightly too wide to slab. And I mean, Nautilus, you have the mountain stretching around, so you could go up the mountain to one side. You don't really have that here. I guess you could duck along the ocean side if you really want to get round. But this is... Well, I mean, you've got a good wide region, and you can punch through windows and buildings. I'll be interested to see how this works.
A lot of DvZ stuff, I mean, you always had the option of just walking around, but it was time consuming, and usually you died the moment you got anywhere near it, so it usually wasn't worth it. But either way, if you continue that way where Teb is headed for a minute, that leads us to the next shrine, but either direction you go, you can also take a side path to the main forest where the lumber mills are and stuff. But also over here, there's another oil pit, a nice purple block to show that off. And inside, down here, there's more oil.
Been in this one either.
You wouldn't want to get trapped in here either, if we're honest. There's a lot of buildings in here have these sunken pits. Don't get trapped here.
If you're not fighting, if the building gets destroyed, you can still get out easily enough. The bedrock should give you stairs to get out. You know, as I mentioned, either way you can shoot off this way into the forest. Which, as anyone would expect to be in a giant forest, it's where you have a little lumber camp thing. Where you can get a bunch of wood.
I've never seen this either. I've been on this map I don't know how many times, and you keep showing me stuff that I've never noticed before.
It's a big map, and you know, there is a reason it's a big map. It's big, and you won't see everything in it unless you really poke your head around. So really. But I like the fact that, because one of the main minor gripes I have with DvZ is like, this is the dwarven town. Oh, by the way, they've just opened a huge pit quarry in the residential centre, and there's a giant lumber mill full of oil.
But actually, along those same
sticks on fire, and it's sort of, you wouldn't really want to have the giant industrial lumber mill over over in the middle of town, you'd have it a distance away.
Where all the little dwarven children could wander in and
I
end
mean,
up
those
horribly
sawmills are not OSHA compliant.
No, they're not. But along the same thought of what you're saying too, though, is that one of the reasons why the main resources to get different places for wood, for gravel, which we haven't gotten to yet, as well as gold, the reason why they're so spread apart from each other is that in order to try and do a map design that encouraged people actually working together. Like, people would go out there and do nothing but, chop up and make, 10 stacks of torches, 10 stacks of bowls to try and encourage that kind of thing. Whether or not that happens or not, it's up to the people that play, but, we can try and make things more appealing like that.
The usual.
Oh, yes.
Right, one Jimmy Juice coming up.
This here's a...
the bar's wet. Can't put the drink down. Sorry.
This is one of my favorite buildings in the town that I've made. It was a little bar tavern thingy.
It's a nice place.
So, I mean, they're dwarves. They need their ale.
Just keeps going up.
Yeah, there's a loft up in the top.
Yeah, he's predicting a lot of drunk dwarves.
Well, all they just drink ale and fight, so yeah, probably he's right to expect a lot of drunk dwarves. Well, I mean, one last thought about the town is we tried to keep sort of a relatively common aesthetic for the building. So a lot of them all have these log. Why am I putting this on my screen? They can't see my screen.
Like
they've got the log braces. So log braces, stone brick construction, and cobblestone roof, and you can get variations on them. So a bit of andesite, bit of smoother stone, occasionally planks, but not very often. And it's been kept into the spruce colour scheme with occasional other colours of furniture, which just says they're rare around here. There's few. There are like 5 birch trees in the middle of town because they're rare and no one wants to cut down. You've got the big pine forest. Why would you cut down the rest of it? But we've been able to create, in my opinion, like a really interesting variety and size scope of buildings, which is one of the things I really like about it. Doesn't feel copied.
No, because nothing ever was copied.
Which is the best thing about this, aside from the fact that it did our heads in, because we were constantly having to think of new building ideas. Map makers don't follow our example. It's not worth it.
So coming in here, this here is the 4th shrine. And this is the giant forge that all of the dwarven metalworkings is done in. And oh boy, this here is a really fun shrine that I think will make for an interesting battle, because as you can see here, this shrine is suspended in a minecart.
Yeah, it's a big minecart.
That's right.
It's a big minecart where they are apparently manufacturing shrines, which I've always wondered where they came from. It turns out we can build them.
They dig them out of the mountain of the Rhumarr Pass, and they ship them off to everywhere else.
I think the thing I kind of like about this area is that you contrast, because the average DvZ map got 3 shrines to work with. You have an outdoor shrine, you have like a medium shrine, you have an indoor shrine, which is both the fortress, the keep, the forge, armory, the kitchen, the bedroom, the everything. And it doesn't feel right because you don't build a castle and stick a giant forge in it. So if you compare the inside of here, which is very high ceilings, everything's not really lit. Got the red brick, everything's a bit grey and nasty. And you compare that up against the final shrine area, the big brightly lit keep, light blue, and it's the aesthetic difference between the two.
Yep.
And that's when I realised I had night vision on and everything looked perfectly bright. What was Tim talking about?
But you can as a dwarf you can come up here and as a mob. I'm sure skeletons will love being up here and stuff, but dwarves, they can be pretty much anywhere on here, and you have these nice if you come.
I mean
this crane,
these rails, the rails and the cranes are one of my favorite details of this. Because I mean, Chris's building of these things was really, these are really nice things. Interesting. One of the few places we actually use the bedrock texture raw and it actually works.
Yeah, for these platforms up here, so that way.
And this giant bucket.
Yes, this giant bucket full of lava with a nice exhaust up above. But
The exhaust doesn't just let hot gases out.
no, it
Mobs
does
can
actually.
hint.
Yeah, it does connect to the surface. So if mobs want to traverse the mountain, they can do that.
You can. I mean, I particularly like the idea of. I mean, it's a lot less powerful now that you can't just pick skeleton and have infinite arrows up here.
Right.
But if you were a fire skeleton, able to get into this elevated position and get safe,
Mhm.
I was envisioning lovely, like essentially a war down below, but a skirmish above. As
Yeah.
just try and keep the skeletons off this place.
Yeah, you'll need probably some dagger users on skeleton duty running around up here.
If skeletons come in the Doomway.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh,
but
I'm just trying to imagine a Bopin wave in this shrine.
Oh,
You can hang out forever. But that giant tunnel there leads into the main quarry. But there are a few different ways into the quarry. Actually, just two, but we'll come in the other way. But that's where that leads.
one of the worries with this forge area that we're kind of aware of is it's quite big.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a forge and it was not made to be pretty, it was made to be a place where you could move lots of very heavy stuff around if you needed to. It's also kind of plain. I mean,
Mhm.
I mean, if we saw this normal map, we'd comment on the Reddit and say, just use stone bricks, there's no fireplaces that may be nice, but it's stone brick and clay, it's big, all the corridors look the same, gyms will get lost. Again, the grey stripe.
The gray stripe.
The way to freedom. But this is kind of the point. It's a forge. It was, it was made to be worked by dwarves who knew where they were working.
Functional, not pretty.
Mm-hmm. And we have this kind of trapezoid octagonal, two trapezoids and kind of this octagonal path encircling this next spot up here, which this here is the third shrine. With nice big lava wall decoration encased in glass, so we can't have griefers.
We hope. Replace that with barrier blocks. Don't make us replace it with barrier blocks. I hate using barrier blocks. Using barrier blocks is the equivalent to being told you're going to have a flame grilled burger dinner and finding out it's McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Over there's the second shrine, and as you can see, you can't just walk straight up to this shrine as a mob. You have to go either left or right through the trapezoidal shape and circling around either side.
Yeah.
But if you're a wolf, you can just leap straight up, so... Again, it's the whole thing of trying to do some variation and make each shrine very different from each other.
And the good thing about these corridors is they are very... Well, they are. They're wide. You won't be able to just lob down a slab and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take a couple of slabs to block it off.
That was a very conscious decision that I made in trying to design this particular keep, was I wanted these doorways wide enough to where you could slab it, but once fighting starts happening and break it down, you can't just throw a slab to fix it. It'll be too big to just fix with a slab once the fighting comes to them.
And I mean, you've got these two long hallways converging on the shrine. An enterprising couple of mobs could probably dig their way up from down here, but it'll be difficult because if you're a dwarf here with a good arrow barrier and a bit of luck, you will be able to fire straight down here. So it's going to be, it is. Again, like, if you were a dwarf, the reason that they're building the shiny new keep over there is that this place is kind of dingy and sad.
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't want to... No, in the event of a siege, you wouldn't want to come here. It's big, it's cold, it's dark.
Mm-hmm. Which, if
Lit
you...
by fires?
There are two ways you remembered the second path into the next shrine, the fourth shrine, the forge, from this third one. If we follow this gray stripe, it'll take us the other direction that we can take to that, which is through the quarry. Which is right down this way.
There is...
You have some tools. You have all the gravel you could ever think of. This thing's huge.
It can only be the amount of gravel in this quarry can only be described as a lot.
Yeah.
It says plenty.
I mean...
And here are more minecarts. This minecart here, you can see, is full of gold. And there's gold over here that can be mined up.
And if you follow these tracks, again, it's not the most interesting pathway in the world. It's not designed to. It's a railway track designed for transporting huge amounts of ore and shrine blocks, apparently. And but it will lead you to here. So I mean, because we're running this map in reverse, so as a mob, you can come down through the quarry.
Yeah.
And alternatively, as a dwarf, you can escape through the quarry. So it gives you a couple of options.
I mean, if you have 90 people, what's that usually come to? 60 dwarves, something like that, maybe? 60, 70, something like that.
Depends how many have died.
Yeah, it depends on how many have died. But because it's still just this outrageously high number of dwarves, having clear alternate paths for mobs to take is beneficial on keeping the game interesting. But also from up here, you notice that there are different branching ways off. The 2 back branching ways lead to the next shrine. These 2 forward branching ways stick up in the mountain as
They are also
alternate pathways in and out.
This is one of the cool things about being able to build a map of this scale. It's that, this is pretty much like the size, pretty big by most standards. Like, this would be a full-size keep in most DvZ games, and this one's subtunnel.
So I mean, like, if you're pretty good at dwarfing, if the dwarves in this game are pretty good at that, you still probably have over half of your dwarves still alive. So you can break them up and throw 15 at each of these entrances and hold it if you can do that, and still have them at the shrine. So,
but there's longer. I mean, the thing for mobs is, remember, there's only so many quick ways you can build in. I mean, the quickest way is to come in through the front door. It's also going to be the most heavily guarded.
Right.
So in adding additional waves, it is going to be a bit of a parkouring trek to get there. But there's no other way for us to really do it.
Right.
So Chris, what's going on at this shrine?
This shrine here is kind of another big open staging area. This here is one of my favorite views, though, is looking inward inside the keep from right here. If I get close enough to where the lava renders in. Oh, there it is.
Come on, render distance.
There we go.
Like right here, just you have the fire up above. You have
must have
these.
My render distance on longer. Hi.
Oh, I have it
Way
turned
back
down
here.
at the same as the server has it set to, and the fog just obscured it. But like you have these bright columns of fire and just like this big dark expanse. I really like that view a lot. But yeah, this is kind of an open courtyard staging area similar to the 7th shrine. Only we don't have, giant war machine ballista things. We have towers overlooking the first shrine over this cliff, which kind of zigzags a bit.
You can kind of see looking out. You can sort of see to like the left and to the right, little lit areas up on the mountains.
Yep, and that's
And the idea is
other
just-
path up into the keep that I'd mentioned.
And the idea is, as a mob, you'll be able to just see that there is something up there. There's not. So it's as if you're like showing you that, like, hey, look, there's a path here, without saying, hey, look, there's randomly red wool on the ground. Who'd have thunk it? Maybe there's something there. That doesn't feel like a good way of doing it.
So that wraparounds and connects to that other forward path there, just as that one on that side there wraps around into that forward path over there. But from here, that wall that we mentioned back, the town's on the other side of that wall. So as you can see, it kind of curves back around itself. Like right on the other side, here's second shrine's right there, and first shrine's right there. 6th shrine's on the other side of that. But obviously you can't progress that way because there's a giant wall there. So I was trying to think of, like, instead of just doing the boring thing that everyone does because it's what there is, of just, mountains separate everything. I was trying to think of some other things to separate and guide you different directions. Which is why I have the ocean, which is why I have the giant wall, kind of doing what it's doing
that's
here.
why I like Chris's vision for that more than Nautilus. Nautilus, I made a big spiral because a big spiral means you have a very conveniently placed wall blocking out progression. This is a little bit more complicated in terms of map direction, and if it's people may get a little bit lost going shrine to shrine. I think that's okay. Then again, I am malicious and cruel.
Right.
But they will have their warp books. It is possible to get your bearings with that. So.
And if you're lost, just look into the sky for the the giant yellow beacons.
Yeah.
Right, but continuing down this way here, like you can zigzag up around the long way, or you can tunnel a little bit into the cliff face for shortcuts. But
it's a long flat rise for the mobs to take between first and second. But there are alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, if all else fails, as I said, you can just kind of dig up inside the cliff that way. That's always, you know, an effective thing to do. But there's also a few staircases like this, which admittedly were built mainly for the dwarves to have quick ways back and forth. But, you know, anything the dwarves have, the mobs can use for themselves too.
Unless the dwarves sabotage it.
Right. So down this cliff right here is first shrine. And this is kind of a forward camp outside of the wall, kind of at the mouth of the valley. And
Can I also point out how much I like the wooden shrine? So, like, it feels like the shrines get more and more opulent and decorated as the map goes on.
That was me.
yep.
It's like little stripy wooden shrine.
You know, isn't it cute?
Like the cheapest dwarven shrine they could afford.
Oh yeah, so we have all of these tents where we have all of these, you know, dwarves packed in for sleeping, and all this fire to keep them warm. And then
And
we have our
apparently the foreman built himself a log cabin.
Yeah.
Because he's a... I mean, it's
Like
once a-
he even has a chair.
yep,
it's-
he's got a
it's
chair
one-
by the fire.
he's got this with his old war swords above it. He's just, when I was a Jimmy, we only could proc zombies, skeletons, and creepers. Everything else, no.
But we killed all the creepers. Now gobos have taken
We
their
had
place.
iron armor, and we were glad of it, young one.
Originally here, I had a table covered with white wool to try and represent like the forward field commander's map of the area. But then it crossed my mind, I was like, people are going to see this. It's just going to be white wool, and they're not going to get that it's a map. I was like, what the hell is this white wool doing here? So, you know, I put something
a lot
that's
of
game
the-
design helpful with chests and workbooks.
A lot of the ideas in this map, essentially, it's like, it's what story are we actually telling here? And the story is, you know, we've got the Ford dwarven camp where they're building a wall. They're sleeping in tents because there's a giant wall blocking them from their homes and families. They're sleeping in cold tents. Their supervisor has had a house built,
Oh yeah,
and these walls are, you know, small. They're not yet built,
Flimsy.
but
we
they
have
have
a-
to build them anyway.
we have a supply cart up here that they can use to reinforce the front wall. And you know, there's a front wall up here in towers, and I already went down the stairs on that side, but there's also stairs up over here, and the point for these stairs is, you know, so they can get access to the towers
Walking them
up
will
there.
take significantly longer than flying up them.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so let's head up to the front wall. We have this little palisade guarding the immediate camp.
Yeah.
No,
The
only
center
half
tower
of
offers the
it
best
is
views.
built, as you can see. This part here's not done yet, but neither is this giant front wall.
Yeah, yeah. This
So-
is the giant front walls we want you to build.
All right,
We
so-
know that the current vogue in DvZ, which has emerged, is that you build a front wall approximately 15 to 20 blocks, or maybe even 50 blocks in front of the front.
Mhm.
Like, hopefully this wall presents a big enough challenge. It will take about 10 minutes to build, and with the amount of time it will take to run here and do other things, with luck, there won't be time to build anything beyond that.
Yep,
This
so over
is
there's
the,
that one tower I mentioned. There's the
We
other.
might actually have a front wall that is actually used as the front wall.
And I mean,
Right.
if you look at the size of this front wall, this is a big wall.
Yeah.
It'll take some time to build.
hmm And over there's
But
the
what's that off in the
camp, and that,
distance?
yeah, you notice I haven't turned around yet on purpose. And that's because I want to make sure it's rendered in before I turn around. Over there's the wall. Those are the
Hang on.
shrines 1 and 2. And over here,
Hang on.
oh, I haven't looked up yet. Okay,
We'll
so
try
up
to
here,
segue again. It's that off in the distance.
I can see
a
it.
giant teleporting multi-dimensional snowflake of evil. That is the mob spawn.
It could also be an ancient dragon, possibly from the west.
But that's the mob spawn there. My render distance
It's so pretty.
isn't rendering in the cliff face behind it. So let's fly out here.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have complained in the past about the use of glass in DvZ, or
Mhm.
specifically excessive amounts of glass causing frame rate lag. We are aware that lots of glass with all the faces and all of that causes frame rate lag. Our solution for you is that we put this far enough away from the front wall that it should only just render in, and it's only one of it. And if you can see all of it, you're probably too close to it.
Yeah. So we have some rough terrain and stuff that mobs can use as cover to get close. They can try to go up the two different sides, up the mountains.
It's snow. You can run through it if you were cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's more few ways up. I mean, the mountains are scalable.
Yeah, there's a very easy to scale thing over there. Over here, you can scale this. It's not as easy, a little bit of, zigzagging, but you can scale this face right there that I'm reticuling over.
And if you mob on the right there, a couple of there's a cave entrance, which will take you into a position which the dwarves will find highly inconvenient.
Right. So that you can take that as well.
Once again, didn't know this was here.
That was actually added yesterday. It was one thing that we realised was missing from the map. Is another mob way.
Yeah, because again, initially the whole terrain was actually formed, really early on, like 4 months ago, and the game's gone through a bit of changes since then. Namely, you no longer have vines, so a lot of the changes that need to be made to this front section were to accommodate the fact that the mobs no longer have vines to help them scale the mountain. So we made that easier to scale there, we made that easier to scale there, and gave them a cave to pop them out higher up in the mountains. Because, well, first shrine, and there's been a lot of talk about the different epic game tests on other maps, and that the first shrine, taking, more than an hour and a half, of actual gameplay, not counting the half hour of build time. Just insane amount of time. So just trying to do different things to make it more, I guess, energetic, fast-paced, and just interesting gameplay for everyone involved.
I mean, if the map gets tested and it transpires it's still too hard for the mobs, then I'm personally in favour of just levelling the mountains on either side, making it easier, making, I don't know, giving the mobs basically a sky bridge. I mean, whatever it takes to get the mobs over to the first shrine and breaking the first shrine within 25 minutes.
Right.
I mean, hopefully we won't have to do that because we've left it a good number of ways, and Zombie is getting better. And if you squire in an epic mode game, that's 30 minutes of quest gold. You can quest mana you should be able to bring in, and you'll probably have a happy time with Leap. I mean, it is an epic mode map. And this one I like. It just feels bigger than the usual. Should we do a last fly through just back along the shrines in the right order this time?
Direction.
Yep. So there's
first shrine.
And that brings us to first shrine. We have this nice camp. You can zigzag up that way or dig up the cliff face there. So let's zigzag the long way with the wall. And again, this cliff face here, you can dig up a little bit to help if you'd like. And you can go up either side, left or right, or straight through the middle. So let's go straight through the middle. Zig this way. Right to this shrine here. This will be a fun one to defend because you'll have to retreat through where you're being attacked from. Which I remembered in Nautilus was kind of a bit how that the meteor shrine worked out, which got very mixed reactions, but made for a very different and unique experience right there.
I mean, different experience is probably better than just, a bland but okay
especially
experience.
For something where you could expect to be playing for 3+ hours on something this big.
Yeah.
Having each shrine be very different, I think, is important. Which, again, this year is probably going to be one of my favorites to see how it plays out, just because it's suspended. You can get knocked off and have to jump up and around again.
I will love so much if a battalion of fire skeletons makes it up onto the support rafters, because they will absolutely destroy the dwarves. And isn't that really what we all want to see in life?
Yep. Indeed. So you progress through this way, and then here we're at the town. This nice shrine here. And didn't mention it when we came through before, but every map, every shrine on this map somewhere nearby has both enchantment tables and shared resource chests. For the town, they're not out in the streets, but pretty much any of these buildings you could go into will have something, like right here. So you got shared resource chests there. So they are nearby. And they're also at all of the places you gather the resources. So there should be a lot of use of the shared resource chests on this and be efficient about it, I think. That should be easy to do on this one. The market, which we actually didn't step in through here when we came through before, but
I'll
chests
let
in here.
people explore that on their own.
Yeah,
It was fun.
Jimmy
We
can
had some
explore
fun.
that on their own. They'll have some fun. It brings us to 6 with a giant wall there. That's just a foreboding sight. You see the fire barely flickering atop of the wall for the people on watch. You can see the path up on either side.
I mean, fitness in this town is really great because when they want to go for a jog, they just jog up the stairs, jog along the wall, jog back down the stairs, and they've had a great workout.
You know, the Rhumarr, those Rhumarr dwarves, they're used to the cold. And then here you can go left or right, depending on which bridge you want to take, or you can just, you know, dig through the building and just say screw the road.
You could just go straight through this guy's house. But
Yeah.
that would be mean.
This is the swanky dwarf section. You know, we have a lot of very fancy houses, nice big fancy house there.
I like
and
this house. I think I had something to do with decorating this one.
there's a few swanky
I
dwarf
remember
houses.
This was.
Such
Oh yeah, I remember this house.
Patio.
This,
Oh yeah, you did the base?
Oh, this is okay. I'll step in this one then. This was the house that you were so confused with the layout because I decided to have
this is-
half of it split level and the other half is.
This is symptomatic of Chris's building style. It's just like lots and lots of like little changes in elevation going on. Very. He's clearly killed something. I mean, but again, like if you look at this guy's house, you just get the idea that he's a guy who may be a bit crazy prepared, but also like reading books and to skin the bear.
Oh, there's oil there too. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we crossed the bridge.
Yep, we crossed the bridge.
Yep.
And
Shrine number 7.
Shrine number 7 with this massive ballista.
Mhm. Whatever this is. What's this?
It's a cart full of all of the giant, what do you call them? Pikes, spikes, bolts for this ballista to shoot.
Oh, for the right. I see.
Mhm.
That makes sense now.
There's another tower looking over the
It's like,
ocean that's under construction here.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually say anything when we were... Oop,
Oh, we
okay,
lost Ted.
well, we'll continue on without
But
it for a minute.
he's coming
The map
back.
is too powerful for my internet connection. Chris, you're next.
Well, I have the worst internet out of all of you, and I've had no problems so far.
I know.
Fingers crossed.
Oh dear.
I didn't say anything when we left, but I really like these these ominous towers, just like silent watchers carved,
You have no idea how
carved
much
out
I
of.
wanted to put lights in the eyes.
I know
I can't say
we
that.
had lights in the eyes, and we tried putting lights everywhere else. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't like the kind
It
of
just didn't
attention.
happen.
I didn't like the
I
attention it painted on
so
them.
hard. I campaigned so hard for lights behind the eyes.
As they currently are, they kind of
Glowing
red eyes.
disappear into the cliff face, and
You
I
were-
really like that.
You were downvoted.
Mm-hmm. And here we are at 7. They can go down below, curve around
That
the
was
back,
7.
or... Yeah, this is 8. That was 7.
Yep.
And that brings you up here. Very standard keep design. Spawn room, or hopeful spawn room, right back there. Progress this way. All of the back and side windy bits. All the way... the final shrine here. This shrine ended up being very different than I'd originally thought of it being. I thought of making the shrine... as I said actually one time talking about this before, is this shrine is too grand. It's got too much hope as you approach it, as I said. So my thought was this map is that the final shrine would be either in this cold, dark, damp cave, and it's just like all hope is lost type
You
of
tried
feeling.
so hard. You got so
Mhm.
far. But in the end, I'm not finishing the lyrics for copyright reasons. Essentially,
It doesn't
this
really
place-
matter though, so...
I mean, just like the coloration of this place, like the darkness, the cold, the
Mhm.
unforgiving terrain. Essentially, this place gives me the vibe of welcome to the final shrine and your impending death. And
Pretty
really,
much.
that's what DvZ's about.
Yep. So at this point, you've had several hours of hopefully intense and fun action, and
Mhm.
you'll probably die here being goboed off to your death here.
Yeah, I can see that being A common thing.
Mm-hmm. Or ogred or anything else. Yeah.
Or Jimmy.
I hope you found this interesting, this really long, drawn-out walkthrough of this map, and look forward to comments. Hopefully a potential test game that doesn't last 5 hours or anything like that. Hi, Nisivin. Yeah, there's some
Indeed.
There's... Hold on.
Indeed.
We're doing this. I'm Old Man Willikers.
This is probably blasphemous.
Yeah, let's not do that. There we go. All right, but hope you enjoy this. There's a Reddit thread up, which how you found the video in the first place.
I'm assuming you're in F5 from your stats.
Yes.
Why are
I'm
we
in
all
F5.
looking off into the distance quite this wistfully?
It's like we're the cover of a rock album or something like that. But yep. I've said thank you for watching a bunch of times, so I'll say it again and we'll end the video. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.